Yesterday's release of the declaration from the Pridonian House in Exile has drawn a response from the Lord President of the High Council of Time Lords of New Gallifrey.
Thank you, Safia, for coming back so quickly again to discuss this. I have sitting in front of me right now Kharma's official statement. This was brought to me just a few hours by my intelligence services before it was released by the exiled House Pridon to the New Gallifrey general public. And I'm scanning through this right now and have a few points I think that we should need to address here. As I mentioned earlier, my primary job as president is basically to present lawful options to the High Council for them to vote on in a democratic fashion. It has been the Chancellor's job to interpret our Constitution. It's been my job to present those options to the High Council, and the Castellan's job to enforce the decision thereof. This political format has worked for longer than some planets have existed. And while I don't think you'll get any argument that the Time Lords have not always been a perfect society, we've certainly had more than our fair share of issues. I think our government has functioned about as well as any you could ask for, given the time frame. When you remove yourself from that government, as the Pridonians are claiming to do here, you remove a checks and balances system that is millions of years old. I'm looking here at a statement that says,
"While we are exiles, we are still an independent state."
we are an independent state. They're claiming that high treason is no longer appropriate, as apparently you can't commit treason against a government that you've now conveniently renounced, and that they would like a seat on the High Council. I'd like to point out that this is exactly what the High Council offered them. The initial integration of Aliesti into our society here in New Gallifrey and within our government had on the table a proposal for the New Gallifrey Pridonians and the Aliesti Pridonians to exist as independent states on the High Council. It was Lady Kharma and her house that turned down this offer and went rogue. Now, before anyone accuses me of being too hardline, let me explain how important it is that no one be allowed to secede from the High Council. Our government was created on the premise that every house, which of course each house raised young Time Lords into the respective academy of higher education that goes along with their house, that every academy had specializations. My own house, House Patrexi, has always been the builders of our technology, not necessarily the designers. We have filled that role here in New Gallifrey, but we've always been the builders. House Arcalian has always been the record keepers. House Pridonian has been the political architects of our society, and so on and so forth through all of the houses. Which means that when the High Council meets in session, we have fanatically varied viewpoints on how to look at our society, our technology, the use of that technology. And this is what has kept us balanced. Now, certainly throughout various times in our history, the balance has tipped a little more in one direction or another than it should. But for the most part, we've done a pretty good job of preserving the prime timeline throughout all of the known universe for now tens of millions of years. When a Cerulean sits across the table from Pridonian and argues about what their house specializes in, This is what's kept us honest, or at least functioning mostly honestly. I know there's been plenty of corruption, but there has in every civilized society. When House Pridonian removes themselves, they remove themselves from that checks and balances. I'm also looking here at a very disturbing statement, where they claim to be able to continue to use their TARDISes and all of their technology and relics after being removed from our Eye of Harmony in exile.
Our TTCs will remain in my exiled house's possession. Oh, don't worry. We have alternative means and methods for their continued operation.
That is against the law, number one. But it's against the law for a reason. Without the other chapters of the High Council to balance the Pridonians' opinions, which, let's be honest, they've always had an opinion about everything, then they can just run rapid with some of the most advanced technology created by any civilization in the universe. This cannot be allowed. No house should be allowed to utilize the technology that our society has created over the eons without the checks and balances of the other aspects of our society. It wouldn't matter if it was my own house, the people who build that technology. This cannot be allowed. I believe in gray areas. I know that's something that I was criticized by our Lord Chancellor for. I believe in gray areas, but there are certain aspects of our society that have become absolute for a reason. No Time Lord can utilize this technology without oversight. Yes, you can point to rebels throughout the history of our race, but at some point, even those rebels, there has been a line in the sand where Time Lord society has said, that's enough. You cannot go any farther. I know the history of House Pridonian. I know the type of technology they have access to. To allow them to continue to utilize it would be dangerous to the entire universe that we live in now. We exist here in SL space in a very delicate balance. We don't hold the level of power that we used to. I know that House Pridon thinks that we do, but we don't. We still hold our noble status. We still have advanced technology here, but we cannot let them simply continue on unchecked. Our TTCs will remain in my exiled house's possession. Don't worry, we have alternate means and methods for their continued operation. I quote there from Lady Kharma's declaration. This is an admittance, in writing, of breaking Time Lord law. While no formal treaty exists between my government and yours, it would be inappropriate for me to divulge them. You don't have to divulge them. We will find them, and we will take them from you. And if you resist us, we will take them anyway. Due to this declaration, I have just instructed High Castellan Solis to arrest Lady Kharma and every other member of her house that defends that statement. And if they resist arrest, we will take this by any means necessary. No Time Lord technology can exist outside of the purview of the High Council. We have spent millennia preventing other races from making the same mistakes that we did. How easily Lady Kharma forgets the fact that early Time Lord society destroyed entire civilizations and wiped them from existence before we developed the system of checks and balances. No one, not even Rassilon himself, is capable of controlling this technology without opposing viewpoint. No one. However, of all of this, it is the last part of her statement that concerns me the most. I'm quoting here. My warnings of the coming dangers.
We got our peaceful exile.
That has yet to be determined.
What I was actually referring to is the danger of the entity known as the Jinn. You are not prepared. We did not hide in the halls of the Panopticon. Far from it. We were busy making preparations for the Jinn's coming.
House Prydonian is not the chapter of our society charged with being intelligence experts. That paragraph proves why. House Prydonian is not prepared for the coming of the Jinn because the Jinn has already come. He's been here for nearly the entire existence of our society. He is not what you think he is, and his coming is not what you think he is. And if you think you're prepared, you're wrong. And if you get in the way of the events that are coming on a tidal wave behind him, you will be swept away. No one is prepared for what's coming. We know what's coming. When I say we, I mean the inner council, of which House Prydon has never been a part, and the children of Rassilon, which can see all of time and space. We know what's coming to SL space. We are prepared for it. And Lady Kharma, you are not. And if you stand in our way, one of two things will happen. You will either disrupt these plans that have been in the making since the time of Rassilon and doom all of us, or you will be run over in the plan's executions. The choice is yours.
Stay tuned to NGPR, your news service for New Gallifrey.